leaders saying, how do we reverse obesity? How do we cure obesity? They're not asking that. They're saying, how can we actually say obesity is not your fault? Oprah, who's involved with Weight Watchers, just apologized for preaching personal accountability over the past decades. She said it's not personal accountability. We're supporting Ozempic. This is becoming, obesity is becoming something.
Do you think Oprah got paid?
She's highly involved with Weight Watchers. Yeah, Weight Watchers has shifted from a personal accountability organization that it's been preaching for decades and is now a prescriber of Ozempic. They've totally changed because Ozempic is a better business model because you never go off it. This isn't.
It looks like Oprah picked the wrong day to be iconic because Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly didn't just question her legacy. They tag-teamed it into a glittery pile of motivational rubble. Tucker showed up with that smug little grin. Megyn came armed with a verbal scalpel, and together, they carved through the Oprah mythos like it was made of self-help slogans and soft focus lighting. 1 minute, she's the high priestess of empowerment. The next, she's ducking punchlines like airborne yoga mats. So what exactly did they say that rattled the queen of the couch? Oh, it's not just brutal. It's deliciously brutal.
Now that bill has gone and hasn't passed, will you reintroduce that?
Absolutely. And when I am elected president of the United States, I will make sure that bill gets to my desk and I will sign it into law.
We already knew that, Oprah. She said that at the debate. Oprah is no longer in the business of staying up on the news. I bet she didn't even watch the damn debate. She's reading undoubtedly from blue cards her staff gave her. That's how the Oprah Winfrey show was shot. Oprah didn't have to think of her own questions. I know. I've spoken with her executive producers over the years, all of them.
Picture this. The once beloved Oprah Winfrey, go-to guru for tears, hugs, and aha moments, now standing under studio lights, clutching a mic like she's pitching purified air. Why? Because she's traded in the soul-soothing wisdom for something a little more, strategic. She's moderating a political event. Not just any event, a billion-dollar candidate's campaign rally. Wrapped in red, white, and carefully curated applause. But here's the twist, it's not just the optics. It's the optics plus a 7-figure paycheck. Yep, Oprah didn't just show up, she cashed in. On journalism, on influence. Maybe even on us.
Because rap music attacks women. I know the feeling. When I had a son, I stopped watching Oprah because it was just too anti-male. And I felt like I didn't want to bring him up in a home where Oprah was constantly attacking men. And it's really helped.
So let's get this straight. Oprah didn't just moderate a Kamala Harris town hall. She took $1 million check, maybe more, depending on who you ask, to turn what should have been a hard-hitting political exchange into a velvet-trapped PR parade, instead of digging into the tough stuff. She handed Kamala a platform polished to perfection, influencer-proved studio, lights, a crowd that clapped on cue, and the kind of celebrity backing that turns policy into primetime sparkle. This wasn't journalism, it was a product launch complete with features, benefits, and endorsements from Hollywood's inner circle.
When was the last time Oprah actually spent time hanging out with a working class person in America? She's on her Montecito estate with one of the most beautiful mansions known to man. Mm-hmm. And that is why she did not follow up with Kamala Harris in response to that stupid gun question with, well, you're on camera saying that you favor mandatory gun buybacks. So how would that work? The Oprah enthusiasm worked when it was genuine. Mm-hmm. When she first hit the scene in like the 1980s and she was fresh out of Chicago, she was in Chicago for the launch of her national talk show. She was something electric and interesting and authentic, you know? I miss fat Oprah. She was just genuine. Now this thin Ozempic Oprah has lost, along with the pounds, her heart, her sense of authenticity. And what we're getting these days is this cleansed, elite, billionaire version who wants to scrub the record.
Megyn Kelly. Oh, she didn't even try to hide how absurd she found the whole spectacle. To her, it was overproduced, overacted, and painfully forced. The way she put it, when your vibe shifts from warm, world-class conversationalist to a Broadway actress fumbling her lines under stage lights, you know the train has left the tracks. Oprah's face alone was doing its own one-woman show. The deep sighs, the tender gasps, the perfectly timed glances for that dramatic camera close-up, each expression felt choreographed, rehearsed, authentic. Not quite. It wasn't journalism. It was performance art, wrapped in credibility, dressed for TV.
Harris in the news this week for, among other reasons, having run her billion-dollar campaign down to the studs when it comes to her cash. She's reportedly $20 million in debt. We told you the story the other day. Well, now the reports are that she blew the vast majority of that last 20 million on stars. Now, so far, we've only had one star deny receiving a direct payment, and that person is Oprah Winfrey. The reporting is, and we've seen the verification via various publications, that Harpo Productions, her production company, was paid $1 million for that farce of a town hall that Oprah put on. What a joke. So Oprah's production company got $1 million to put that.
And then, there's the great Ozempic conversion saga. Millions watched as Oprah slimmed down. Another chapter in her ever-public journey of reinvention, but according to Megyn Kelly, and yes, this is a direct quote, she looks empty. Not glowing, not empowered, just hollow. Kelly didn't celebrate thin Oprah. She warned about her, like a before and after photo with no soul in the after. The message, lose 50 pounds, lose your spark. It wasn't shade. It was a cautionary tale. And here's where it gets juicy. The contradiction. Oprah's entire brand is transformation, reinvention, weight loss, comebacks. Become your best self, preferably in front of a live studio audience. So when she sheds pounds, it's not just for health. It's to boost the brand, collect the followers, and sell the next chapter. Losing weight. That's just skipping the RSVP to your own pity party.
For Winfrey, she's worth $3 billion. She's up there talking about all the racism she encountered.
But okay, so Oprah Winfrey is American, but Kamala Harris, Jamaicans are not Americans, A. B, not oppressed in any sense. They're actually very successful in the United States. Caribbeans in general, I think, make more than native-born whites. They're successful. They're entrepreneurial. They're not part of the history of racism and slavery in the United States. Just the opposite. They just showed up here. So, like, this is ridiculous.
Meanwhile, Tucker Carlson took one look at the whole thing and called it what he saw, a political extravaganza dressed up as civic engagement. A press release, he sneered, and he wasn't wrong. Think about it. Oprah gets a massive paycheck. The campaign gets primetime exposure, Hollywood gets their glamour shots, and America. We get a town hall where no one dares ask about inflation, the border, or anything. That doesn't come with a standing ovation. All applause. Zero scrutiny, if that's progress. What does backlash even look like? And it gets better, or worse, depending on your caffeine level. Oprah didn't just bring her mic, she brought her A-list entourage. Meryl Streep leaned in like she was about to drop a masterclass on public policy. Julia Roberts nodded like her facial expressions could move polls. Chris Rock popped in for a cameo, though we're still waiting for the punchline. It didn't feel like a town hall. It felt like an award show for political vibes. Megyn Kelly called it the grand finale of Oprah's journalistic downfall. Harsh, absolutely. But also, not entirely wrong. And here's the kicker. No one asked the million-dollar question, literally. Why was it okay for Oprah to collect a 7-figure check for what was, essentially, moderator-level work? Anyone else, any lesser-known commentator would have been roasted on a spit for that kind of payday. But Oprah, she glides past it, all like an amnesiac ninja. Influence without consequence. The ultimate power play.
Her schoolgirl affectations and body movements. Like, okay, ready? Here it is. Like, okay. She raises herself off her chair. Like, I'm just really excited. I'm really excited about this. Okay.
You're so right.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell you something you haven't heard yet.
Yeah.
I'm going to blow your mind.
Okay. Right, like that.
Right.
Let's talk about the hypocrisy because it's loud, even if no one's calling it by name. Oprah built an empire on empowerment, on asking the tough questions, on digging deep, encouraging critical self-reflection, and telling the world to live their truth. But here she is, not as a journalist, not even as a neutral moderator, but as a high-paid hype woman for a political campaign. She wasn't challenging talking points. She was amplifying them for a 7-figure fee. Now, let's be real. If anyone not named Oprah pulled this off, the media would have pounced like it was Murdoch behind the curtain at Fox News. But because it's Oprah, silence, applause, a few standing ovations for good measure. She weaponized her decades of credibility either as the perfect con or the perfect cover. Megyn Kelly didn't hold back. She said the whole charade made Oprah look out of touch, like the warm, relatable woman who once sat barefoot on porches, had officially traded in the swing for a penthouse view. And it shows. When your curated political events cost more than a small country's GDP, you're not exactly speaking for the everyday person anymore. Sure, Oprah came from rags, but now she's so far above the clouds. Breathing regular people's oxygen might trigger an immune response. And, yes, let's circle back to the weight loss, because Megyn didn't skip that either. She said, when Oprah lost weight, something intangible fell off with it. Her soul, her warmth. That stings. But the irony. Oprah's entire legacy is built on transformation. Reinvention is her brand. She's weathered criticism, outlived 1,000 public mood swings, and danced across every flavor of cultural trend. Transformation isn't new. But this version, the glossy, televised, monetized kind, feels different. It didn't just happen. It was packaged, branded, and sold. No wonder the narrative flipped. Now imagine this. You tune in expecting a serious political forum. Instead, you're met with studio lights, soft focus filters, and carefully timed audience reactions. It doesn't feel like democracy in action, it feels like a Netflix teaser. All style, little substance. Press releases outshining policy, the only real question being asked. Did you feel what she felt? Did you like that? Not exactly the Senate hearing the country's been waiting for.
Let me tell you something, people. This is yet another piece of evidence that Oprah Winfrey is fake news. News people do not require the campaign to pay us so we can interview them. I did a town hall of sorts in this election when I sat down with the Tim Walz Stolen Valor former colleagues. Do you think I charged them to set up the set? No, I didn't. Megyn Kelly paid for it. The Megyn Kelly.
Meanwhile, what did Oprah walk away with? A shiny production credit, a set of polished talking points, and a warm residual wave she can ride straight into her next venture. No pushback, no accountability, no tough questions, just a viral "he looked me in the eye" TikTok clip and a round of applause choreographed for maximum shareability. It's stunt TV, with money bags falling like confetti. But here's where it turns. Oprah's not just selling self-help anymore. She's selling electoral trust. She's become the first influencer paid to pitch political candidates, not with policy expertise, but with branded empathy. Past YouGov polls show a spike in public trust when her name is linked to a campaign. So what's the exchange? You get credibility. She gets a paycheck. The candidate gets the narrative. And the rest of us, we get talk show oncology bright lights, flat questions, and the kind of vague warmth that feels comforting until you realize it said nothing. Why bother with real journalism when Oprah can hand out campaign endorsements like she's giving away cars? You get a candidate. You get a candidate. Integrity not included. Forget investigative grit. Just dim the lights to tick levels, cue the A-listers, and roll camera on what looks less like a political forum and more like democracy's red carpet cosplay. And as for the 7-figure speaking fees, don't even ask. Her fans aren't curious, they're converted. She's not just a public figure anymore. She's a corporate oracle, a boardroom deity who swapped small-town relatability for Fortune 500 reverence. And here's the double hit. Don't just blame Oprah for playing the game. Blame the audience for buying in like it's gospel. They'll defend her like she's scripture in human form. She's Oprah, she can't be wrong. Meanwhile, she's serving narrative spin with a side of emotional garnish and asking you to tip on the way out.
Oprah on abortion.
If you do not have autonomy over this, if you cannot control when and how you choose to bring your children into this world and how they are raised and supported, there is no American dream.
There's no American dream without abortion. That to me sounds like a woman that's had an abortion. I don't know, but that's what it sounds like to me.
Well, it's such a grotesque and crazy thing to say that clearly it's coming from somewhere.
Buckle up, because this is the pinnacle roast. Oprah, the high priestess of empowerment, the one who made a catchphrase out of "you get a car, you get wisdom, you get hope," showed up to that town hall with 0 tough questions and a fistful of talking points. No challenge, no friction, just prestige projection with soft lighting and a teleprompter. Think of it like this. A dentist charges $1 million to brush a comedian's teeth. Sure, the job got done, but did it require $1 million invoice and a standing ovation? That's what Oprah did. She gently massaged Kamala Harris's messaging gums, added a little sparkle to the image, then moonwalked out with stock options in the campaign's narrative architecture. and the public. We didn't get answers, we got bristles, but not the bill. Let's be clear. This isn't just a roast. It's an indictment. We're not mocking Oprah for slipping. We're calling her out for monetizing trust, weaponizing her legacy, and sliding from truth teller to political brand ambassador. She was supposed to be the system breaker, the voice that questioned power, not amplified it. She built a kingdom on challenging norms, and now, she is the norm. Oprah didn't just crossfade into politics. She pirouetted into it with a production team and a 6-camera setup. And here's the bitter irony, she once told us to live bravely. But brave would have been pressing for answers. Brave would have meant risking discomfort for clarity. Instead, she called her glam squad, not the hard questions. That town hall wasn't a Q&A. It was a brand statement, a vibe, a photo op. Live bravely, more like profit broadly. So here it is, the full throttle roast, high voltage sarcasm, deep cuts wrapped in punchlines, and a truth buried in every laugh. Oprah didn't evolve. She monetized the evolution, and we all paid the price in trust.
Here, Oprah Winfrey, she turned into some sort of nutcase. She's a nutcase. Listen to her last night saying what she thinks the stakes are of this election.
If we don't show up tomorrow, it is entirely possible that we will not have the opportunity to ever cast a ballot again. We are voting to save ourselves from this precipice of danger.
Would you spare me the drama? I realize you made $1 billion in the drama business. Your tears, which you could no longer produce anymore. We all saw you run out of the tears. You got $1 billion. You stopped feeling empathy for the people who came on your show. We're going to have elections again. Just take a deep breath. You're good. It may not turn out the way you want, but we're going to have another.
Let's talk legacy laundering, because that's exactly what's happening here. Oprah's not just coasting on past triumphs. She's out here pressure washing her image until it sparkles hard enough to blind you from the fact that she's become a glorified campaign infomercial in heels. Once a cultural touchstone, now a deluxe, high-budget moral accessory. Her credibility used to be currency. Now it's product placement. Strategic, shiny, and ready for syndication. And honestly, the switch-up is almost impressive. She went from voice of the voiceless to an executive pipeline for pre-approved political rhetoric. And all while maintaining that same sparkle-eyed concern and soft-spoken faux humility, like nothing changed. But audiences aren't stupid. They can sense the scripting. The pauses that feel just a little too perfect. The size engineered like audio cues in a luxury car commercial. She doesn't need a teleprompter. The whole performance is pre-installed. And let's not forget her other talent, the curation of silence. Because not everything phony needs to be spoken. Sometimes the quiet is louder. Where's the conversation on the border crisis? Economic pressure. Public school chaos. Crickets. But rest assured, she monologue about vibes, spiritual wholeness. And the moment we're in, turning a political town hall into a soft-focus Gwyneth Paltrow skincare seminar. You'd think someone with decades of influence might wield it for nuance. Maybe, just maybe, introduce a little confrontation in the name of clarity. But no. Confrontation is off-brand. It wrinkles the aesthetic. It disrupts the flow. It might even, God forbid, lead to truth. So instead, she plays the oracle, nodding solemnly like the Dalai Lama. If the Dalai Lama had an American Express black card and a development deal, this isn't journalism. It's brand management, with a halo effect. And Oprah. She's no longer asking the hard questions. She's cashing in on never needing to.
Oprah is admitting she's on Ozempic. And I know this is, our team asked you what was interesting to you today. This was on your list and mine. Because of course, you've done a lot of shows on Ozempic. I've listened to some of them. We've talked about this, there's a bunch of drugs. That's just one of the name brands. And now she said she originally wouldn't go on it because she thought it would be, quote, cheating. But now she's admitted that her recent weight loss is due to Ozempic. So what do you...
And let's get real. Oprah's alliances say more than her monologues ever could. She's not surrounding herself with thinkers who challenge her or push the conversation forward. No, she's wrapped in a cozy cocoon of insulated entertainers and curated intellects. It doesn't scream truth seeker. It screams echo chamber, temperature controlled, fragrance optimized, and thoroughly brand approved. There's no diversity of thought here. It's the ideological equivalent of a gated community with valet. Her storytelling used to feel raw, human, magnetic, like she was in the mess with us. Now it's airbrushed within an inch of its soul. It plays like a tribute reel at a Hollywood Lifetime Achievement Gala, glossy, predictable, and eerily void of risk. Honestly, you could swap her with a hologram and no one would blink. If AI ever becomes sentient, it might sue Oprah for identity theft, for stealing its job and perfecting emotionally optimized neutrality, and that every woman persona, please, that got left behind somewhere between the 5th home purchase and the diamond-encrusted gratitude journal. She's not one of us. She's the person the help refers to as Ms. Winfrey and clears the grocery aisle for before she even walks in. There's no relatability when your dog's birthday party budget rivals the price of a used car. Oprah's about as grounded as a blimp with a luxury skincare line. And here's the kicker. She knows exactly what she's doing. This isn't naive. It's strategy, precision-crafted, focus-grouped influence. And if you think this is harsh, don't take it as a takedown. Take it as a wake-up call. This isn't about canceling Oprah. She's not a villain, but she is playing one more convincingly than half of Washington. At least politicians pretend they're not auditioning. For daytime TV, Oprah, she's hosting the whole season. She's not breaking the system. She is the system, and she's doing it with better lighting.